Chelsea dropped Burnley at home. Let's get into it.
And blue is the colour. SCN! Drogba! Lampard! That could be the
championship. Greetings! Welcome back to Couch Critic. For me, Dennis P. And for those of you that don't know, this is another Chelsea match review, but more specifically, a tactical synopsis of Chelsea's performance against Burnley. But before I get into all of that, I want to let you guys know we have a sponsor for the show. They go by the name of Major League Socks. And fellas, if you ever want to walk in the footsteps of greatness, you know what to do. Hit them up. The link will be in the description. Okay, so Chelsea played host to Burnley and came out with a 1-1 draw. Goal scorer Kai Havertz and Vidra answered in the 76th minute, somewhere in around there. In this match review, we're going to be focusing on Ross Barkley and his application throughout the game. We're also going to talk about Chelsea's squad floor versus squad ceiling. But I really do want to start with Chelsea's philosophical change in defending 1-0 leads under Thomas Tuchel. Okay, I'd like to start by saying it is a little disappointing that Chelsea were unable to see out the result. You know, up 1-0, the 75th minute. You expect them, especially against Burnley at home, to see out that result and emerge the winners. We had a boatload of chances that we should have converted. And, as the old saying goes, man, if you don't take your opportunities, man, they usually come back to bite you. And it did in this particular match against Burnley at home. And, if I look at what Chelsea would have done in the past, you look at the squads that we assembled under Jose Mourinho, the mentality of those squads, the squad under Conte, which, basically took on the identity of the manager. I really do believe that we probably would have been able to see out those games 1-0 easy. And, under Tuchel, I think that the philosophical change there is when we get up 1-0, we're not shutting off. We're not playing deep and holding on to that 1-0 lead. We're looking to get 2, 3s, and 4s. And that's what we want at Chelsea Football Club. That particular mentality matches my goals for the club. I want to see them, look to put teams to the sword and finish them off. And I think that that's what Thomas Tuchel's after as well. Not just clinging to 1-0 leads when you have a squad full of goal scorers all over the pitch. You got a squad full of attacking talent. You should be utilizing that to the best of your ability. And I think that is what Thomas Tuchel's trying to do now. I mean, I was actually guilty of it myself. I used to think that Thomas Tuchel was a little bit more pragmatic. And he's basically, in the last 4 or 5 games, showed me that, he may set up a certain way, but the intensity and the intent in the match is to score boatloads of goals. And sometimes it comes off, sometimes it doesn't. The game against Burnley yesterday was an example of it not coming up, but not due to lack of effort. Like I said, we had chance after chance after chance that we just could not put away. And although the shape is similar to that of Antonio Conte's Chelsea in 2016-17, the application is quite different. I'm sure many of you would say that under Antonio Conte, you give us a 1-0 lead with that system where we just sit back so defensively and try to hit teams on the counter, we probably would have seen that game out quite easily. And under Jose, even in the 2015 season, where we were winning quite convincingly more times than not, but in the close games, Jose has the ability to just drop the block a little bit deeper like he did in the second half of that season and allow teams to just come onto us where we can just basically hit them on the counter again. The difference that we're seeing under Thomas Tuchel is when we get up 1-0, we're not looking to close out the game by just defending deep. We're looking to close out the game by keeping possession, number one, recycling possession. That is his defensive tactic, and looking to hurt teams in the final third. And there was time and time again, you thought that Chelsea had the opportunity to just put the match to bed. In the second half, the 65th minute, you had Ross Barkley 1v, right in front of goal, skies it. He had Chilwell to the right, could have put it in, could have put him in. Callum Hudson-Odoi shimmies back to his left, should have scored. These opportunities were just coming time and time again, and Thiago Silva hitting the post. These opportunities came time and time again, and we just could not take advantage of it. And then in the end, it bit us in the ass with, Burnley finding a lucky goal. I don't know who put the ball in, but it was a one-time hit and hope. Found the head of Rodriguez, and then he just squared it back to Vidra, and they equalized. But I think the mentality of this squad is correct. I think that we need to be looking to be more of an attack-minded team with the squad that we've assembled rather than trying to keep a defensive shape when we don't necessarily have a lot of defenders in the club. Like when you look at the substitution for Ross Barkley for Ruben Loftus-Cheek, I mean, I think it probably wasn't the right selection. I probably would have went for Mason Mount in that position just because I feel like at that point in the game, we needed to be a little bit more solid in the middle. And as we see with Ruben when he's playing that number 10 position, he's a little bit more adventurous getting forward. And I think that game just needed to be calmed down a bit. For me, the only real tactical, I don't know if you want to call it an error, but I felt like the substitutions bringing on Pulisic and also Mason Mount, they seemed to come a little bit too late in the game. I felt like it was way too late for them to have an influence on it. I think they came on about the 82nd minute, somewhere in and around there. And I really felt like the game needed an injection at around the 65, 66 minute mark when we were still in the ascendancy, but not finishing our opportunities. It would have been the perfect opportunity to bring on the likes of Pulisic and Mason Mount to just give the game a different dynamic, a different energy and whatnot. Fortunately, it came late and, we just couldn't impact the game. They couldn't impact the game as well as they probably could have had they been giving more of a runway. Now, I did briefly touch on Ross Barkley in my last segment, but I want to go a little bit further with his game today. I thought he was okay. I really do think that he was doing the right things as the number 10, but in the end, some of his decision-making in the final third again laid him down. And for me, that's the most important aspect of the game for a number 10, is understanding what position you're in and what you need to do when you're in those positions, making quick decisions and, releasing the ball at the right time, finding the right pass, threading the right through ball. These are all the decisions that you want from your number 10. And, Ross Barkley isn't terrible at it, but I feel like sometimes, especially today, some of his decision-making lets him down. And, again, like this is just a perfect example of that. Like you get into these pockets of space here, you expect him to pick the right passes. There's options all over the pitch. He goes extremely wide and the move's pretty much killed there. He did make some good decisions here and there, but I think that overall, when he gets into the final third, the game is supposed to slow down for him and he's supposed to be able to see, it's just, I liken it to the Matrix a lot of the times. I like to see guys who, when they get into those positions, can have the ability to slow the game down, read and react to what's happening around him. But too often, Ross Barkley, when he got on the ball and Burnley were pressing, got dispossessed for lack of decision making. Like he got crowded out of the game, gave away the ball at least 4 or 5 times just based on the fact that he didn't make the right decisions at the right time. And, these are the types of things that you don't want to have as your number 10. Your number 10 is supposed to be your offensive thinker, the guy that, thinks the game really quickly and executes at a high level. And unfortunately, we just didn't have that today. As much as I do agree that Ross Barkley didn't have a poor game, I thought he was actually okay. I really do think that like the decisions that what you want from your number 10, the decision making and whatnot just wasn't on display today. And some of the times where you see him in the final third and better decisions, better opportunities, better options are available to him. Like again, late in the game, his last move of the game, he has Chilwell to his left. He's got 2 defenders in front of him. And instead of just like laying it off to Chilwell on his left foot, the form that he's in, he takes a shot and skies it over the bar. The first half, he gets into a nice pocket of space. He has options left and right. And instead of just like trying to slip in one of his teammates, he skies it again from 35 yards out. These are the types of things that you want your number 10 to just get into those positions, slow the game down, and think about what's the best decision to make for the team and not necessarily just take these opportunities for yourself. And that sort of nicely segues me into my last and final point from this particular match review, which is Chelsea's squad floor and squad ceiling. Now, over the past like 4 or 5 games, maybe 6, we've kind of had like a stripped down squad. We haven't had our full strength squad. We've been without the likes of Lukaku. We've been without Werner. We've been without Kovacic. We've been without Pulisic. We've had Azpilicueta out for some time. We lost Reece James for a portion of the games. And, throughout all of that, we've successfully come through a run of games where our depth has been tested. And I really do believe that, like we've shown to the league right now, that we have a squad that is assembled to win the Premier League. And what I mean by that is when you have the floor of your squad playing at such a high level, It only makes for great competition for places in the squad, but also gives the manager something to think about. And then also when we get into this busy Christmas period, and the games come thick and fast, and we're playing once every 3 days, once sometimes 2 days apart. We have a depth of squad that can come in and give us minutes and can be relied on. Like at the very end of the bench, we have the likes of Ziyech, Barkley, Sal Niguez, who mixes reviews. We have our third choice striker right now is Kai Havertz. Like this is an immense amount of depth, and all of them are coming into form at the right time. You know what I mean? So as much as like the injuries have hurt us, and to be honest with you, a game against Burnley today would have been the calling card for somebody like Lukaku to come in and just finish off these opportunities. Like this is probably why you buy him for games where it's like tough and physical and you need that presence in the box and whatnot. He would have been perfect for it. But alas, when we have these games where our depth is being tested, to come away and have the performances that we have had, and then give the manager something else to think about, not having to feel any sort of like, second guess himself when he looks at the end of this bench and he sees the likes of, Ross Barkley, Callum Hudson-Odoi, who I probably think is going to be starting the next little while anyways, just because when he's been playing in that more attacking role, he's been very, very good for us, and it's going to be hard to drop him now. But again, like you look at the likes of like Alonso coming in, hasn't really been great. But, the only thing that I think is going to hinder us right now is that particular position, like the wing backs, because I don't think that where we need our wing backs to be, the floor for what we need from our wing backs is being met by the likes of Alonso and Azpilicueta right now. And that's mainly because we require so much from our wing backs right now that Chilwell and Reece James have been playing above and beyond that. Like they're in Reece James's case, he's playing at a world-class level right now. But in terms of Chilwell, he's definitely met the bar and raised it as well. So the gap between the likes of Alonso and Azpilicueta in terms of what we need from that wingback position has, grown quite a bit. And we kind of need to see more from them in order to, really round out the squad. But if that's your floor, again, you can't really look at it as a bad position. Like Alonso can come in and, his ball striking ability, his ability to get on the end of things is still something that, is quality, is something that we can depend on going forward in his box presence, his aerial ability. But just in terms of what we need from our wingbacks, we call them wingbacks. I still think that they're playing more as midfielders, wide midfielders. I don't think that Azpilicueta and Alonso have the flexibility and versatility in their particular style to give us the same sort of like application as Reece James and Chilwell now. So that's kind of where we have to be careful about, where we rotate the squad and where we use those guys. But again, any other position, look at our midfield now. You got the likes of Kante, Kovacic when he's healthy, Jorginho. You have Ruben Loftus-Cheek putting in a shift, and you can depend on any of those four to give you 8 out of 10, 7 out of 10 performances. Then behind him, you have the likes of Sal Niguez, who, still trying to find his feet in the Premier League, but still a guy that, hopefully can give you minutes there. You can also deputize for somebody like Mason Mount in the midfield at some point. So again, I just think that the squad depth was tested this last stretch, and I feel like our floor is showing that it's higher than most in the Premier League right now. So if we can continue to just rotate the squad a bit more in December and continue to get those high-level performances from our secondary players, I think that we have a really, really, really good shout for the Premier League title. Because when you look at the likes of teams like Liverpool, for instance, when you take out Mane and Salah from their squads, the drop off is stark. You're going from Premier League contenders to Tranmere Rovers, you know what I mean? So it's stark. And with us, as much as there is a drop off from Lukaku to even Kai Havertz in terms of striker ability, we don't necessarily notice it as much. So long may that continue, and throughout the Christmas period, hopefully we don't get too many injuries going forward, because I don't want the depth to be tested that much again. But if it is, I do think we have the squad that can handle it. But I do think I'm going to wrap it up there. Chelsea, unfortunate not to get all 3 points at Stamford Bridge against Burnley. Man, this team is pesky, man. And it's funny because it's so reactionary to most of the fan base right now. You can't drop any points. They're worried about Liverpool catching up and, City catching up and what they're going to do. Like, every team is going to drop points, folks. It's not about how many points you drop. It's about how consistent you are throughout the year. All right? Drawing Burnley at home, as much as it is frustrating, it's going to happen in the Premier League season. Like, 1 through 18 are strong teams, we slapped up Norwich, but I wouldn't be surprised if we play them again and it's a narrow 1-0, That's just the way the Premier League goes, And, with this Burnley performance, it's not like we didn't play good football. We're consistently playing well enough to win games. It's just, the luck of the rub of the green wasn't with us today. There was a couple opportunities in the box that if we would have taken them, we would have been clear, like 3-0, 4-0 up at halftime. And, that's just how the game goes sometimes. You can't necessarily, get too down when you don't get the result that you want, and you can't get too high when you get results like Norwich, right? It's just consistency that we're after. We want to go 4, 5, 6 games of winning, unbeaten runs. And, when we do have a hiccup like we did today, we need to just pick ourselves up and go again, and go again, and go again. That's how you win these titles, man. It's not down to, looking over our shoulders at our opponents. We control our destiny right now. We're the team that's in the driver's seat. And if we continue to put together performances, consistently good performances around the front foot, we're, challenging teams and peppering their goal, I think that we're going to be fine. Stop looking at other teams and thinking that, oh my God, they're going to go on this incredible run and we're not going to be able to match it. Are you kidding me? Every team drops points. Our last, you look back even like the Conte era, when we went on that 13-game winning streak. There were times where in the second half of the season where I didn't think we were going to get even a point out of some of these matches, and we're able to find our way to the finish line with 93 points. The 2015 season against with Jose Mourinho. Am I not mistaken that we drew 1-1 against Burnley in the second half of that season and still won the title? Don't be so reactionary, man. There's lots of football left to play. We have a big, robust squad that is ready for the challenge. We have an incredible manager. And, we go again. We go into the international break and we're up at least a point on our closest rivals. And, who knows? If we go through that stretch, we went through that stretch of games without our 2 main strikers. We lost Kovacic. We lost Reece James for a bit. We lost Aspilicueta for a bit. We lost Pulisic. We lost Ruben Loftus-Cheek for a game. And we're still emerging as winners, man. We're being tested time and time again. And every time we're coming up aces. This is something that we should be applauding at this point, not, wallowing in the mire of a draw at home. Let's get over it, man. We go through this next period now, come through the international break, get a little bit more healthy, and we have the likes of Leicester, Man United, who's in disarray. We have West Ham, who at any time could show up and give a result. So we have to be worried. Watford again with the new manager belts under Ranieri. And of course that Juve game, which is going to be crucial. So these are important games going forward. This is the stretch of games where I want to see Chelsea really start rounding into form and start playing good football, not just getting the results, but also playing good football, showing that we're ready to win this title. But you guys, I'm not going to be reactionary. We just got to take it one game at a time. And also, you know what to do. Keep the blue flag flying high and up the Chels. Peace.